Greetings, this is the Timeshare Traveler. Today it's episode 77, Freedom, Responsibility, and Timeshares. Those three topics are key to a successful vacation, and although you can actually use these concepts even if it's not a timeshare, if you have an RV or you just do hotels, I think all of the concepts will work. So I'm going to go through the details of an overview and I'll go through all that stuff, but first I'll tell you a little bit about my channel, then I'll jump right into the details. Enjoy.
Hi, my name is Cliff and I'm the Timeshare Traveler. The purpose of this channel is to provide education and knowledge for those interested in timeshares. I've been a timeshare owner for over 15 years. I'm an elite owner with Marriott Vacation Club, Hilton Grand Vacations, and Worldmark by Wyndham. I've also posted over 70 timeshare video reviews of different locations, and I've posted 40 timeshare video tips. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button below, and I can be found at Timeshare Trav on Twitter and Facebook, and my website is www.timesharetraveler.com. Welcome back. I'm going to go through the overview. So I want to talk about the freedom to travel and the beauty that all brings. It's not free because there's work. Freedom is never free. It requires work, and so does freedom to travel. The next point I'm going to bring up is responsibility that comes with that freedom to get better. And of course, in this video, I'm going to leverage timeshares, but the concepts work across multiple travel platforms and for many things actually. And then I'm going to go through two examples to show you what I actually learned, what I actually did. I'm going to talk about an 80-day trip that I'm actually doing to Hawaii, but I've done them before. And then I'm going to do a summary of a U.S. trip I did across the country to my high school and family reunions. Okay, let's talk about freedom to travel. Everyone talks about freedom doesn't mean no cares, no worries. Freedom actually takes some level of work. You purchase freedom to travel with your timeshares, in my case, but you have to define what freedom is for you. It's not just sort of, oh, we'll figure it out on the fly, which is one possibility, but usually that makes it more difficult to actually accomplish. It's up to you to figure out where you want to go. It's kind of an open canvas. So freedom has a lot of open options, but it requires you to actually make decisions for yourself. Are you driving or flying? That makes a big difference. Obviously, in planning, you have to plan out the airfares as well and make sure you coordinate, don't do too many flyings. I made the mistake of booking a bunch of timeshares and realized I was in Hawaii, which was fabulous, but I had to do 3 round trips inner island when I could have done it with one because I went back and forth from one island to the other. I was mostly focused when I did it on just the timeshares and forgot to integrate that with the airfare. So it's a mistake I learned from. But that's exactly what I mean by freedom. It's not just free. It requires you to think things through. Are you doing a short trip? Or are you doing a trip for 8 weeks, 2 months? That's a lot of different things, and I'm not even going to talk about what you have to do about your house. In my case, I rent out my house and I travel when I travel for long periods, so I don't have to worry about who's going to take care of the mail and all that other stuff, and the utilities and watch the house and so forth. But those are things you have to think about. What size timeshare units do you need? In my case, it's just me, so I can get away with a studio, but I like the 1 bedrooms often. And some locations only have 1 bedrooms, they don't have studios. And I also makes a difference whether there's actually a kitchen or not. So I'll upgrade to 1 bedroom if that's what it takes to get a kitchen. And I want to leave you with this. It really is the freedom for you to explore is limited by your imagination and what you want. So I know it sounds really simple. Freedom, it sounds like it's just a word you toss out, but there's actually work to it. And so anyway, I just wanted to go through that, and this will help you with your vacationing. The next point is the responsibility to get better. This is probably the most critical and probably the one that we don't like because it feels like work. But the reality is it's actually the one that gives you the greatest benefit. And I actually am a lifelong learner, so it's really exciting for me to get better and better. And obviously this channel is a result of me working to get better and better, and so I can share better information with those of you who watch my videos. So I have a goal to try to learn at least something new on every trip, and it's usually more than one thing. It's surprising; it just gets better and better, and it's it focuses. Sometimes I go, well, hey, I'd really like this, and then you find out, well, you can do it, but you didn't even think about it until you learned 6 more steps before that to where you could try the next one. So it adds, each one of them adds to the next, and it really works out really well. So in other words, you have to learn things like, do you know how the exchanges work? Do you know how last minute deals are? Are they advantageous to you? Do you want to include that in your planning? Sometimes I've actually booked a timeshare, and I've tried to get the one I really wanted, which was more difficult to get, and I've gotten it, and then I've been able to do it within the cancellation window of the original one, just so I knew I'd have a place to stay. So that's a little bit far-fetched, but it's a good idea to have that as a capability. Can you book with hotel points? So sometimes I book timeshares with hotel points. They're available just like hotels from the hotel side of the timeshare companies. The other thing is join forums like TUG, which is a timeshare user group, where others can guide you. There are so many resources and people there's always somebody who's done something either different, better, maybe worse, but even if it's worse, you learn from it. Because, like the one I talked about where I had 2 extra airfares after I booked my timeshares. I had learned from that, and I've learned how I've overpaid for certain things as well from that. So you learn. It feels a little stupid sometimes, but stupid is part of getting smart. So get over it, or enjoy it, actually. I would argue to enjoy it. And this is one of the one to learn from the sales presentations. I actually enjoy talking to the salespeople. Maybe it's because I'm a former salesperson. I never feel pressured because I know what I want, and they can tell I'm an experienced person. And I'm educated, and I'm there to learn, and I want to work with them. And if there's some value they can bring me, I will consider it. I honestly will consider it. I can always get better, and maybe I can always do more vacationing. I don't know. So there's no bad reason to meet with the salespeople. So many people see it as a battle, where I see it as an opportunity to learn. And the bottom line here is each improvement you make leads to more valuable vacation opportunities in the future, or even in the one you're on. Sometimes it's a quick return. You need to look at it as a return on investment. Now jump to the next topic. The next point is leverage timeshares. And again, if you're not a timeshare owner, you can insert your method of travel, Airbnb or whatever. There's some of the same things are applicable. Is you leverage your planning skills and timeshare program rules. Each rule, even Airbnb has various rules about when you have to do the payment, when you have to do various things. So you have to leverage that and recognize that planning is a skill, and it actually is a valuable skill when you own timeshares, because the further you can book out, the greater the availability is. And the program rules within, like, what are the cancellation rules? So do you have to use your points within the same year, or what are the things? And a lot of this, when you don't know those rules, can be very frustrating, and has been for me. The first time you bump up against something, it's naturally for it to be frustrating. But again, you have to look at it as a learning opportunity and getting better as I did on the prior slide. And the next point is almost all the hotel chains have timeshares, or I should say reverse, all the timeshare locations are tied to hotels. So I've joined all the hotel sides, and in fact I often have million plus points on the hotel side that I can then use to book timeshares or book hotels. If I want to go somewhere and I can't book the timeshare, I'll stay in a hotel. I usually find a hotel with a kitchen, so it feels like a timeshare, and I can save money on food. But I find leveraging both of them really makes for better opportunities to vacation. And the next thing is are you limited to timeshares, or can you rent homes, do cruises, etc.? There's usually sometimes a translation fee, but that might be worth it for you. Just need to have that opportunity. But explore all those things, what opportunities you do have. And my sort of personal joke is timeshare usage is an acquired skill. We're not born with this. It's a purchase. You've invested a lot of money, so put the requisite time into it to take value. It's sort of like you wouldn't buy a car if you didn't have a driver's license, unless I guess you're giving it as a gift. So the same thing holds true. If you've made the investment in timeshares, make the investment to learn how to use them. Okay, now I'm going to go through an example of an 80-day trip that I'm about to take, but I've taken a couple others. But I wanted to go through and show you actually how I put these aren't just concepts, but what I actually did on that. So first, my trip to Hawaii. I like to do 2 islands. Don't ask me why. It's just a little variety. When you do something 80 days, I know it doesn't sound like a big variety. Hawaii is Hawaii to many people, but to me, there's fundamental differences in the different islands. And I booked the most recent one is to Maui and the Big Island. I booked things basically from 5 to 13 months ahead in order to get what I wanted based on the rules of the various timeshares that I have. I used hotel points for 1 booking. The last trip I took to Hawaii, I actually did it for 2. So I do that on a regular basis. I used an internal exchange for 2 weeks. And it's called Club Pass. It's part of my WorldMark ownership and part of the Wyndham family. And lo and behold, between the booking of hotel points and the exchanges, I will have stayed on every Club Wyndham hotel on the island of Hawaii at the end of this trip, and I own no Club Wyndham points. The other thing I've done is I used the wait list for 3 different upgrades to get exactly what I wanted. I booked what was available at the time and leveraged the wait list to do that. And this was in more than one. One with Marriott. I really wanted a kitchen, and I had to get the upgrade in Maui, and then 2 were with WorldMark to get the size unit that I wanted. And the other thing is of the 11-week trip, I'm staying in new places for 5 of those 11 weeks. So I'm experiencing new locations, new things. I'll pick up new things I like about the various timeshares just by staying in those new places. So I hope that's helpful for you on a practical level. And for my last update, I'm going to go through the summary of my U.S. trip that I did to my high school reunion and family reunion. I'm actually still kind of in the last bits of it, but I'm wrapping it up so I can talk about it now. So this one I booked between 4 and 8 months in advance, with one exception, which was I was looking at the drive times and I went, oh my gosh, this is way too far to drive. And so actually at the very beginning of the trip, when I was actually reviewing it, I realized I had a long trip, and I added 1 more stop to get my final drive time to my family reunion down to 10 hours, so now, which I'm comfortable doing even though it's a long drive. And so anyway, I made a mistake. I was able to recover, thank goodness. I could have, I suppose, stayed in a hotel, but I chose to stay in a timeshare because it was less costly, actually. So the other thing is I had done pilot trips, so I knew worked for me. I'd done trips more regionally. I'd been traveling for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, various times. So I was ready for the 8-week trip. And it was just a matter of planning it out, knowing what the drive times were, what I was comfortable, how I could manage it. I knew what to pack, all those things. So it was a lot. It was a culmination of a lot of experiences that I'd been through it, building up to it. Probably could have done it before, just hadn't had the opportunity to do it. So I used points, internal exchange, and hotel points to book the timeshares. So I used many of the tricks I have available to me, many of the opportunities. So it's a constant opportunity to use what you do know and learn new skills. I planned out the driving distances. I am comfortable doing 10-hour drives. I don't like to do a lot of them. 8-hour or less is really my goal. And that's just because, so I plan it out from a drive perspective, and then I fit the timeshares in after I've done that. I love to find places to hike. I'm an avid walker. I'm not really a hiker. I'm not like a mountain, professional hiker, but I'm we'll call it the amateur. I like to just walk about and see the places I'm at, meet people walking on trails and stuff like that. They're the people that are interesting because they're there, adventurous like me. And I stayed in 7 places I had never stayed before. About to do 1 more. I mean, I actually stayed in 6 of the 7 new ones, and I'm heading to one of the new ones very soon here. And interestingly enough, I came away with ideas of what to do next time I visited. In fact, I want to come back to some of the locations. In some ways, I had a shorter trip because I had a long extended, but I can see now some regional trips that I'm going to do, and I'm looking forward to that. Anyway, thank you so much. If you made it to the end, you deserve a reward, and hopefully you enjoyed this information. And don't forget to subscribe so you can get more content like this.